Welcome back to the Perpetual Wealth Podcast, a show for clients of Paradigm Life. This season, we're empowering you to take control of your financial future using the core principles of the Perpetual Wealth Strategy. Now, before we dive in, a quick but essential disclaimer. While this podcast is primarily for our valued clients at Paradigm Life, it's open to anyone interested in enhancing their financial knowledge. However, please remember that our information should not be taken as a direct tax, legal, or financial advice. We strongly recommend consulting with a wealth strategist at Paradigm Life or your financial team before making any decisions based on our discussions. Today, we continue our journey into cash flow, protection, and wealth building, the foundational principles of the Perpetual Wealth Strategy. Let's dive in and explore how to optimize your wealth and achieve financial independence. Your journey continues now. Hi there. Welcome to the Perpetual Wealth Podcast, Season 3. My name is Patrick Donohoe, and this is Episode 1. Now, today, I will invite you into the paradigm of Paradigm Life. You know, since 2007, after working with over 8,000 clients, we, as an organization, have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly of personal finance. You know, our mission has ultimately, as it continues to evolve, is to guide clients to financial independence. And the vehicle that we use to do that is the Perpetual Wealth Strategy. Now, the Perpetual Wealth Strategy fundamentally is a holistic and comprehensive approach to personal finance. And it has a focus on three core principles. And those principles are cash flow, protection, and wealth building. And wealth building, depending on your stage of life, is either wealth accumulation, wealth building, wealth distribution, or legacy, passing on your wealth. So let's start with the first principle. That's what I'm going to be discussing today. First principle is cash flow. So cash flow is the lifeblood of finance. It's where everything starts. Cash flow is the money that moves in and moves out of your personal and your business finances. But it's more than just numbers on an income statement. I would say it's key to financial independence, both now, in the future, and through all the different stages in between. Positive cash flow. Okay, positive cash flow is having more money coming in than going out. It's the foundational aim, and I would say paramount to financial health. It ensures you can meet your daily living expenses, avoid the pitfalls of debt, and ultimately have clarity of vision so you can make informed decisions that will align with actually what you want. You're making decisions proactively, not as a response or reaction. But think about it. Cash flow, it's not about survival, right? It's about thriving. Strong cash flow, it ensures you have liquid assets to cover expected and unexpected expenses. It also allows you to seize opportunities and navigate challenges without needing external expensive financing or withdrawing from your wealth building vehicles and compromising the wealth accumulation curve over time. That's why we typically encourage 3 at a minimum months of liquidity, your expenses, preferably 6 months of liquidity to buffer those, buffer your cash flow, buffer those disruptive events. Now, cash flow isn't just about money coming in or out. Cash flow also pertains to the nature of your investment focus. When cash flow is your aim and your focus, you begin prioritizing your investments according to their cash flow, not simply by the rate of return. Ultimately, in the end, you can create income streams with this approach that partially then fully replace your earned income and talk about something that propels you toward financial independence. Imagine the sense, like the feeling, right, of freedom, knowing that your financial well-being is not tied to exchanging time for money. You see, an effective cash flow strategy, there's several elements, right? It's more than just a strategy or a financial tool, right? It's a doorway to a life of economic certainty and financial independence. And that's why we consider it the first step on your journey, something you always have to be paying attention to. So this season, we're going to discuss, from a cash flow perspective, the importance of a spending strategy, which is paramount to curbing the natural inclination we have to consume. We're going to talk about tools and apps so that you can implement an effective spending strategy. We'll also be talking about ways to minimize taxes, one of the biggest expenses that we have. We'll also discuss continual focus on personal and professional development, investing in yourself. These are strategies that lead to increasing your most valuable asset, right? The value you bring to the world, and ultimately the income that comes as a result, and that asset's you. So this is just a taste of what's to come this season as we discuss the principle of cash flow. Okay, next is protection. The second principle of the Perpetual Wealth Strategy is protection, which is a crucial aspect of financial life that in my experience is often overlooked and highly undervalued. Protection is the shield that safeguards your wealth. It's the strategy that ensures your hard-earned wealth, what you've built, set aside to grow, that it continues to do that regardless of the curveballs that come your way, which are inevitable. And we've experienced these curveballs in spades. Life is unpredictable, right? It's job loss. There's disability. There's obviously medical conditions, death of a loved one, divorce, lawsuits, market volatility, and disruption. All of these events, all of these curveballs cause a disruption to wealth building. You see, holistic or comprehensive wealth strategy requires emphasis and focus on a protection strategy, which I would say, simply put, is efficient ways to mitigate the negative impact of disruptive events. So the Perpetual Wealth Strategy, again, it's about optimizing protection, right, and managing risk with the least out-of-pocket expense, focusing on protecting what I consider the two elements of your financial foundation, which is your assets and your income. Building wealth isn't just about growing assets. It's about protecting them. The fuel for wealth is cash flow, which is the result of income. So protecting disruption to your income is also a critical piece of financial health. So implementing a protection strategy is more than just a financial decision, right? It's a commitment to your peace of mind. It's about reducing stress that comes from these events. It's about reducing anxiety. It's about knowing that your financial future is secure no matter what happens. So we're going to be covering topics such as personal, commercial, business insurance, and tactics to optimally cover these disruptive events with the least out-of-pocket expense. We're going to talk about legal entities such as wills, trusts, business entities that shield your assets in the event of personal liability. And of course, right, this final principle, wealth building, we're going to be talking about wealth, right? Wealth, I would say, is the journey to growing your capital. It's about short-term capital needs, long-term capital needs. Those long terms could be funding college education. It could be buying a new home. It could be securing a time when you live off of your assets, either partially or completely. As much as we want to believe, that wealth is this magic thing, right? Wealth doesn't materialize overnight. It takes time. It requires consistency, okay, and obviously that requires a well thought out strategy, not just an investment or a financial tool. You see, when you deposit, let's say you deposit your first $20,000 in a 401k or an investment account or down payment on a rental property, it just didn't suddenly become $1 million overnight. It grew over time with consistent returns, consistent contributions. Okay, that's why starting today is crucial, even though the most significant growth happens down the road. So if you've been investing for several decades across various economies, the path to wealth isn't always smooth. Events like what I've already talked about, death, divorce, disability, health issues, market volatility, right? Those are disruption. And there's a lot of others as well, which extend or elongate the time it requires to build wealth. And sometimes people never get there because of one or two major disruptive events that could have been avoided. That's why we protect alongside wealth building, right? By prioritizing protection, we assure ourselves of the probability of having our wealth curve, that compound curve, materialize with the highest degree of certainty possible. And something that we've thought through is, if we were to get people into a room, our clients in a room, I know that the agreed upon idea is that they'd rather have 100% probability of getting to 95% of their target wealth than the possibility of getting to 100% and the likelihood of getting significantly less. That's the power of the perpetual wealth strategy and ensuring that your wealth building activities are protected from these disruptive events that I've already talked about and other disruptive events. Our evolution as an organization, right, has helped us develop this approach. And we've done it collectively with our wealth strategists, but also alongside our industry colleagues and mentors, which span across, hundreds of thousands of man hours, tens of thousands of cases over multiple decades. And if you're like us, you know that it teaches you patterns and exposes evidence of what works and what doesn't. This collective experience is now aimed at helping you achieve the optimal amount of wealth with the highest degree of certainty. And, as I mentioned in the trailer for this season, we've developed some tools, right? One of which is the hierarchy of wealth, which is a visual organization of your assets into 4 tiers. Okay, tiers based on inherent risk of loss and your degree of personal control. The hierarchy of wealth, this tool, which you can access on our portal that's available to you at no cost as a client, right? It ensures that you have an ideal distribution of wealth, financial products, and investments so that you can get the highest returns with the highest degree of certainty. Now, this is a kind of a broad brush overview in a sense of this season, but I'd be remiss to talk about our foundational product that you likely have through us, which is Whole Life, primarily high cash value Whole Life. I would say this arguably sits in a category of its own. And that's why sometimes it's very complex and difficult to explain because of how much it does, the multiple roles that it plays. Whole Life, it ensures, an ideal cash flow strategy because it's a financial product that requires contributions for life. Like you get to contribute to this magical vehicle forever. Your policy or policies ensure liquidity without disrupting the wealth curve that benefits from compound interest, right? It protects not just against premature death, but also against creditors who can make a claim on assets due to, one of those disruptive events where you have personal or business liability, right? It's a tier 1 asset in the hierarchy of wealth because of its historical performance, but also the superior financial strength of the underlying institution, insurance company, but also it affords like this level of confidence because of how consistent the returns have been for the last 100 to 150 years, right? It's the ideal financial asset at the foundation of your wealth that, in our experience, amplifies the role and impact of all of your other assets and investments. However, it's not the only asset, it's not the only wealth building activity you should have. So whether you're just starting out on your financial journey or looking to strengthen your financial strategy as an existing client of ours, remember this: wealth accumulation it's not about a balance sheet. It's not about a number on a piece of paper, your net worth, right? It's about ensuring a future you can count on. So I invite you on this journey, this season, to explore the power of the perpetual wealth strategy and specifically your focus, right, on how can you understand these 3 core principles of cash flow, protection, and wealth, and ultimately find opportunities to improve your financial future. So, I'm going to keep this short. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to dive deeper into the world of cash flow and share the lessons, the experiences, the tools, the strategies for the ongoing success of you, our insanely valuable client. So thanks for tuning in to this brief introduction to the season, and I can't wait to see you on the next few episodes with a very special guest, one of our wealth strategists, Wade Reed, who has been an advisor with us just over 3 years. but has been a financial advisor for a couple of decades. So he's going to be on. We're going to be talking about cash flow. We're going to be talking about protection, and we're going to be talking about wealth. So stick with us to the next episode. Thanks for watching this one.